We have a lot of breaking news coming out of Latin America right now. But before we get to that, I would like to clarify something I had said in my earlier video about where I think it would be strategically advantageous to locate during a shit hits the fan event. State-wise, yes, places like California, Texas, Florida, New York, New Jersey.
The truth of the matter is, it's going to be no safe place. And as I said in part 1 of the video, there's going to be no safe place. So let's open this properly. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Abashai Bashim Rakah Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutations to the Akim that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and freedom to do so. To the confusion of face Akim that are joined unto our ranks doing the same. To the hopeful elect and the Akwathim that are listening and learning. To you I say shalom.
These places, but more specifically, when you dial it down, I would never recommend anyone be in a large populated area. Being clear about that, I was speaking more in a regional context, but Latin America is absolutely on fire right now.
Yep.
There is a massive revolution sweeping this region, and something unthinkable has happened, and events are moving very quickly now in Brazil. A man named Lula da Silva, by far and away the most popular leader in the country, had been imprisoned, and it wasn't thought that he was going to be able to stand for elections in October. Well, a judge has ordered a writ of habeas corpus, meaning he gets released. And the
makes you wonder why and how he got locked up in the first place. Because you had some Edomites that didn't want this guy in power.
Guy in charge, basically their warden of the prison he's in, said, yeah, no, not going to do that, judge. And so they had to go to another judge. The party that Silva represents went to the streets. There are thousands and thousands of people in the streets, and will be until tomorrow morning, demanding his release, and they're watching it minute by minute. Another judge got involved and said, yeah, sorry, you absolutely do have to release this guy, and if we have to send the military down there to get him, we'll get him. So this is going to be an issue where you're going to see the Brazilian military perhaps involved, standing up against the Brazilian police.
You hear that?
The Federalis. So
this is 2nd Ezra 15 and 15. For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one hand shall stand up and fight against another, and the swords in their hands. All right, I'll read that again. For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. The modern day sword is the gun, first and foremost. All right, this is 2nd Ezra 6 and 24. And at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Okay? Yeah, the springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. And he was talking about the different areas where you shouldn't, where you can't be when all this thing goes down, whether it be here in America or anywhere. And that was literally talking about water, because there's going to be no water, man. No food, no water, man. So outside of the sword, you're also going to have people starving to death and dying of thirst on top of that, which is a horrible death. Be actually better to die by the sword than by starving.
it's going to get ugly. It's going to get really ugly. But if Lula da Silva does in fact get released, the warden of that prison just signed his own death warrant. I don't know what he was thinking, because it's not even close in an election if he is free. And this is what it looks like. This top line is him, and this was before he went to prison.
And you see how popular this guy is. So, truth be said, it doesn't matter. If this guy does not get out, the people are going to lose it. They're going to have riotous situations on their hands. All right? They are. Because I got a feeling they're going to try to off this guy somehow, but he's too popular, too powerful right now. All right? But if they do off him, they're going to have bloody riots all across South America, not just in Brazil. because of all the different nations that are involved in this, and all the different countries that are coming together to come against the basically the Western and the IMF and the Western ran banking system. All right, the people are fed up, man. It's happening, and they're distracting you with all this other stuff, especially with these boys in Thailand in this cave.
This is how popular it was. You know, this is what they were saying it was going to be without him in the election. Who might win this Jair Bolsonaro? But not even close. Not even close. Lula da Silva will walk away with that election. And I cannot imagine being the warden of a prison that had denied his release and then have him become president. He might as well just jump in the ocean and start swimming back for Portugal, because he'll have a better chance of making it there than he will be living very long in Brazil.
His
but in
family
case anybody doesn't know about the Brazilians, they are one of the most powerful militaries, not just in the hemisphere, but in the world. They are by far the most powerful military in Latin America. In fact, Global Firepower has them ranked ahead of Israel.
All right. So Brazil is really a heavy hitter on this world stage. They're one of the heavyweights. Now let's click forward a little bit.
Bolivia and Maduro in Venezuela, and now with Obrador in Mexico taking power, guys, we are looking at a major shift in Latin America. It hasn't seen this kind of unity in 100 years. Because
and see the way that Esau put a fire on Judah, because Judah started raising up here in America, and Ephraim was too. You had the Black Panthers and the different parties like that. You know, the pro civil rights things and all the, you know, the marches for equality. You had the Brown Berets, which were, you know, of the Northern Kingdom, was starting to align themselves with the Black Panthers. And what did Esau did? He came in, he introduced drugs, and started giving out college tuition and gave out a couple jobs, and Jay quieted down. And he was not going to be able to do that same thing in the region down here in South America. All right, because quite frankly, these people down here are tired of Esau Edom. All right.
Nicaragua is also in that mold of, it's a very different kind of socialism than what Americans are used to. It's we have a mainstream media that likes to indoctrinate this idea of socialism being a bunch of lazy people sitting around waiting for their government check, when nothing could be further from the truth. We covered this in the last video. You know, everybody pulls evenly, everybody pulls together, everybody contributes, everybody, you know, puts in. Nobody slacks, but nobody is self-interested either. Nobody creates a situation for themselves to enrich themselves at the expense of their neighbors. And that's the sentiment. That's the real big sentiment that's being that's sweeping through Latin America right now. They want to get rid of corruption, get rid of the big globalists, get rid of Pfizer and Merck and Cargill and Texaco, Chevron and all the big oil companies. They want to retake their region for their people.
See, they want those Edomites out of there. And so you got a lot of wealthy Edomites that live in that region that work for these different countries, these different companies and corporations. Those people are going to become targets, man. Big time. They're going to get massacred down there.
And this is what's happening. It's Haiti is learning a very hard lesson right now, and they're telling Americans to shelter in place.
Shelter in place.
They're going to light that country on fire.
So what that really means is that, see, American is sometimes code word for so-called white people, so-called white Americans. All right? It's just like when Edomites at different games and events start screaming, you know, USA, USA. That's a cover-up way of basically chanting for the so-called white man. That's really what they're doing. Because in their hearts and minds, they're the only true citizens of this country anyway.
The IMF just said, okay, we're going to, in a country that can't afford it, we're going to increase the prices of gas by 50%. I mean, imagine going to the pumps tomorrow, and if they were $4 today, tomorrow they're going to be $6.
You wait till that hits America, boy, and it's soon. Very close.
And like I said, most of us would just, cuss a little bit, but we would do it. I mean, here, these people, they can barely afford it as it is. And this is what the IMF does. Argentina, Chile, all have their problems right now. They are learning the hard way about what happens when you bend the knee to globalists.
Mm-hmm.
And it's proving exactly what Morales and exactly what Maduro and Chavez said would happen. And we're going to see it in Colombia very soon, too.
Yep. It's spreading.
We're going to have to see how much this Duque guy has his ear to the ground, so to speak, because it's not going his way. But they're watching this very closely, and when this guy gets released, you are going to hear a shout around the world like you have not heard before.
So, uproars of the people, man. All right? This is I'm in Isaiah. I need to be in Jeremiah, Salakia. Be in Jeremiah. It says, this is Jeremiah 17 and 11, and it reads, As a partridge sitteth on the eggs, and hatcheth them not, so he that getteth riches, and not by right, shall leave them in the midst of his days, and at his end shall be a fool. So they're going to be fools, man, because they didn't get their riches by right. They got it by wrong, man. Through lies, murder, rape, robbery, and corruption. All right? And at the blood of a lot of people.
He might be the most popular leader in any country anywhere. I've never seen a country more united behind one leader anywhere in the world, willingly united behind one leader, like this guy. So we will keep an eye on this, but it's a very tense situation down there, and there's a lot of people on edge, but Mexico, Nicaragua, Haiti, Venezuela, now Brazil.
And the Caribbean islands.
Argentina's going to be next. We're going to watch that too. But I don't know how Panama stays out of this.
They're not.
I really don't. Because eventually somebody is going to get this idea that, hey, you know what? All these big, wealthy, global elitists are enriching themselves right here.
Because they're controlling Panama, which is why this is the last stronghold that Edom has in that region. Because if you follow my arrow here, all right, basically all these places here are rising up against Esau, Edom, and coming against them. Plus the Caribbean Sea here, because they're not really showing you, all these nations that are in the Caribbean Sea, all right. And only thing that Esau, the IMF, still is really controlling is Panama and the Panama Canal. All right, which is right about there. All these nations are going to descend upon these Edomites that are all throughout Panama, man. All right, this is James 5:2, and it reads, Go now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. All right, nobody wants to deal with you anymore. Or deal with your currency. They're going with something else. All right? And as far as you Americans, as they like to say, that are down there, that have been living deliciously, this is James 2:13. For he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. Call Allah Yahweh Bashem Shai and Abba Baval.